Yes. Good evening, all. Welcome to this lecture on behalf of Destination Heritage and on behalf of Dr. Geeta Badikillaya. Today's lecture, Visualizing the Earthly and the Divine Mother, an aesthetic appraisal of Mayadevi in the Buddhist sculptural art of Asia, invites us into the rich symbolic world of Buddhist art through the lens of one of its most evocative figures, Queen Mayadevi, the mother of Buddha. Dr. Shreyashi Chaudhuri takes us across the artistic and spiritual landscapes of Asia, from the naturalistic elegance of Gandhara to the stylized grace of Southeast Asia and the Far East, to trace the changing portrayals of Mayadevi. Whether dreaming of the white elephant or giving birth beneath the sal tree, her image has carried layered meanings of femininity, fertility, and divinity across centuries and cultures. This lecture offers a comparative and aesthetic study of how regional artistic traditions shaped her iconography, highlighting the interplay between form, symbolism, and cultural imagination. We are honored to host Dr. Shreyashi Chaudhuri, Assistant Professor in Department of History at Deshabandhu Mahavidyalaya Chittaranjan, West Bengal. A graduate of Loreto College, Kolkata, she holds an MPhil and PhD from the University of Calcutta, along with postgraduate diplomas from Kavikuluguru Kalidas Sanskrit University and University of Calcutta. Her research interests span the history of art, Buddhist studies, gender studies, and cultural anthropology. She has presented her work on numerous national and international conferences and has published over 30 scholarly papers and reviews in reputed journals and edited volumes. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Shreyashi Chaudhuri for what promises to be a fascinating exploration of aesthetics, history, and sacred feminine. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for allowing me to introduce our resource person today. And I now hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Manali, for this generous introduction. And thank you so much, Geeta ma'am and Destination Heritage to provide me the platform for sharing my presentation and my paper.
Too.
Yes, ma'am. So I will start sharing my screen. Is the PowerPoint visible?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay. One minute. Now?
Yes, ma'am. It is on the screen. Please navigate to the PowerPoint. Yes.
Yeah, now I'll make it full screen.
Yes.
Now?
Yes, perfect. Yes, ma'am. There is a small dialog box below that says stop sharing and hide. Please click on hide, ma'am, so that it stops. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, fine. So I hope once again, the topic of my presentation today is visualizing the earthly and the divine mother, an aesthetic appraisal of Mayadevi in the Buddhist cultural art of Asia. So I would just introduce the topic by saying that a whole world of symbols and icons came to life in sculpture and painting with the spread of Buddhism. Episodes in Buddha's life and legends telling of his previous experiences offered painters and sculptors a rich variety of themes with which to express their faith. About Buddha's actual life, we know a little, but a wealth of literature grew up in the later centuries after his death. These texts evolved over a period of time, and their multi-layered textures reveal a wide variety of religious tastes and symbolism. The image of Mayadevi, a favorite icon of the artist, who is a very special queen, wife of the chieftain Shuddhodhana and a mother of Siddhartha, has been portrayed in an idealized manner in different regions and throughout the ages. In Buddhist literature and art, Queen Maya is portrayed as a beautiful, fecund woman in the prime of her life. Her beauty sparkles like a nugget of pure gold. She has perfumed curls like the large black bee, eyes like lotus petals, teeth like stars in the heavens. This is from the Lalita Sutra. She is best known for two scenes in the biography of Buddha. First, when she dreamt of a white elephant that indicated the conception of the Great One, and second, when she was on her way from her husband to her parents' home for her delivery. The scene of Buddha's birth can be seen in the most Buddhist sites starting from Bharut in central India. In Gandhara art, she has naturalism in body form and drapery, which I will go through later on. In a sculpture from Nepal, Queen Mayadevi stands in an exceedingly bent posture with one foot across in front, as the characteristic with representation of Mayadevi giving birth to Siddhartha. She lifts her hand holding the branch of a shala tree for support. The stylistic changes in each school are clearly noticeable through the pose, compositional placement, and the garment and jewels employed for elite figures. As Buddhism spread across the face of Asian continent and down into Southeast Asia, Far East, it inspired and influenced painting and sculpture of countries as far away as Japan and Java, where she has been portrayed as a beautiful, fecund woman in the prime of her life. Many different interpretations are offered to explain this pose of Mayadevi at the time of the childbirth. It is interesting to note that a similar custom still prevails in the mountain-dwelling tribe of Tarahumara in Mexico, where an expectant woman selects a branch of a tree near the river for delivery. As the time draws near, she goes down to the tree, holds the branch tight, and with both her hands support and delivers the child. The objective of this paper is to study the regional developments of the icon of Mayadevi and make a comparative and aesthetic study of the stylistic changes in different schools of art. So when we are talking about Mayadevi, let us look into the literary sources. What kind of representation we have from the Buddhist literature? The name of the mother of Gautama was Maya, often called Mahamaya. She was the daughter of Sakyan Anjana of Devadaha and mother Yashodhara, the daughter of Jayasena. However, according to Therigata Atthakatha, her father was Mahashukpa Buddha, and according to Apadana, her mother was Shulakhana. She had two brothers and one sister. She and her sister Mahapajapati were married to Shuddhodhana, the king of Kapilavattu. Mahamaya possessed every virtue of being the mother of Buddha, it is said. She never violated the practice of Panchashila, the 5 vows of righteous conduct, which means refraining from killing, stealing, sensual pursuits, lies, and intoxicants. Further, according to the tradition, she had practiced parami or paramita for 1000 years and was thus suitable to become the mother of the Buddha. Maya's pregnancy is said to have been unlike other pregnancies. Although most women suffer during this time, Maya was never tired, her feet never swelled, and she was filled with joy. Some texts even describe her as having developed magical healing powers while the Bodhisattva resided in her body, and other texts say that her belly glowed with light. Maya is surrounded by protective deities, and when it comes the time for her to deliver, all she has to do is extend her arm, and the shala tree above lowers its branches for her to hold on to. The day when Buddha was to be conceived, she kept fast, and at night she had a dream. In her dream, she saw that the 4 devas called Chatur Maharajas took her to the Himava and placed her on a bed under a shala tree. Then the wives of the devas came and bathed her in the lake Anavatapta and dressed her in divine robes. Then they took her to a golden palace and laid her in a magnificent couch where the Bodhisattva in the form of white elephant holding a white lotus in his resplendent trunk entered her womb through her right side. This is actually an image of the Shala grove, and this is a very beautiful indeed, and the Shala leaf, because Shala tree has a lot of significance in Buddhism. In essence, the shal tree is a significant symbol in Buddhism representing auspiciousness, the setting of important events in the life of Buddha and the natural world. It's also believed that Buddha entered nirvana between two shala trees in Kushinagara, and when he passed away, the shal trees surrounding him turned white. It is interesting to note that a similar custom still prevails. As I had said already, that while giving birth, in Mexico, the expectant woman, holds on to the shala tree and gives birth near the river. Next day, she told the dream to the king, who in turn consulted the court astrologers and from them heard the prophecy that child would either be a universal monarch or a Buddha. On the eve of her confinement, Mayadevi proceeded to her native place, Devharada, but on her way she delivered a son in the grove of Lumbini, that is in Nepali Streterai. According to Nidan Katha, the tree under which the Bodhisattva was born was a shala tree. The Ashoka Vadana mentions the tree as mango and Mahavastu and Lalita Vistara as plaksha. Plaksha is actually a kind of a white fig tree. The Divya Vadana and the account of Huan Sang call it the Ashoka tree. The Buddha emerges from her womb through her right side and gods are there to receive him on the heavenly cloth. Streams of fresh water pour out of the sky and the earth trembles and shakes with enthusiasm as the savior of the world is born. Mayadevi, however, died 7 days after the birth of Buddha, and he was reared by the affectionate Mahapajapati, who was both his maternal aunt and stepmother. The sage Ashita predicted the future glory of the child. Her legacy is immortalized in Buddhist art, scriptures, and the pilgrimage site of Lumbini, where devotees gather to honor her memory and reflect on the beginnings of the Buddhist path. Now I shall go region-wise, tracing and looking at the stylistic features of Queen Maya. From its beginning, Buddhist art has traveled across cultures. Buddhism developed its character thanks to many pilgrims who made their journey to the east and the west to propel ideas. Over the last 2,500 years, Buddhist art has deeply influenced the evolution of Asian civilization. As it spread across cultures, it absorbed and incorporated a wide range of imagery in its art and religious practices. So these are the sites which I will be looking onto, starting from Bharat. So this is the image we have from Bharat. The ruins of the Bharat Mahastupa from central India are priceless relief of early Buddhist art. The original brick stupa was created during the Mauryan period, and later during the Shunga period, this modest edifice was further elaborated by richly decorated sandstone structures such as the Vedika and the Torana. The sculptural reliefs on the extant railing fragments and the eastern gateway are the only vestiges of the art of Bharat. Buddha's birth as Siddhartha is depicted here as a dream of Mayadevi in a medallion. This monosynic narrative was intended to remind the viewers of the birth story of Gautama Buddha. The Buddha Charita says that following the birth of Bodhisattva, the heavens and the earth rejoiced. Nature welcomed the birth of the divine being. It is significant that in the written description of the Buddha as the elephant enters the mother's womb, where as in the relief, the sleeping lady and the elephant hovering above her indicate the dream of the conception. A pillar medallion narrates the queen's dream in which a celestial white elephant described from Tushita heaven to enter her womb. The elephant is a symbol of royalty and authority, and thus the child, the Siddhartha, was destined for greatness as the universal monarch or teacher. The queen is depicted here sleeping on the couch. She is shown wearing heavy anklets, earrings, bangles, and an elaborate necklace. Her coiffure is heavy and twisted. The large cushioned elephant is wearing a crown-like tasseled head ornament. The elephant is caparisoned with a rich cloth decorated with 4-petaled lotus. And it is quite large, and the trunk is curled inward and not stretched out. One of the 3 royal chambermaids has her hands folded in pious adoration. There's an inscription which reads, Bhagavata Ukranti, or Descent of the Lord. This is from Bharat. Next, I come to Sanchi. Sanchi is an unique example of the most magnificent monuments of its time, which is not only the most perfect, but as also well preserved till date. On the back side of the second architrave of the northern gateway of the stupa, one Mayadevi is seen sitting in Raja Lilasana, folding her right leg over, and two elephants are pouring water over her as if with the intention of giving holy bath to the invisible child who is symbolically represented by the parasol. She has a very charming expression and an elaborate hairstyle which adds to her grace. She has placed her left leg on another lotus that emerges from water. The surfacing of several aquatic vegetation and extended belly perhaps indicate that she is carrying the child. These elephants are standing on lotuses and carry a kalash or water urn in their trunk. However, there is a debate regarding this theme. It was Fusha who suggested that the iconography of Gajalakshmi represents the birth of Gautama Buddha. But this view has been criticized by Ananda Kumaraswamy, who says that however, it can be said that it is not possible for any symbol to be fixed in a formula. So Gajalakshmi carved in early Buddhist monument is not unlikely that it may imply the nativity of Buddha, whose birth is considered auspicious event in Buddhism. Ratan Parumu, the great art historian, says that the portrayal of solitary elephants holding lotus stalks in their trunks in the Sanchi stupa too can be identified as Siddhartha, since some texts describe him as carrying a lotus in his trunk as he appeared in her dream. There is another scene we see that is on Stupa 1 on north pillar of Eastern Torana in Sanchi, in which elephant in the forepart of there is an elephant in the forepart descending down with Mayadevi fast asleep. The scene is suggestive of her dream and when she conceived the Buddha in her womb. The difference with Bharut is here that the attendant figures are absent and the elephant above her feet appears above her feet and not above her waist as in Bharut. The elephant shown over here is larger in size and appearance is much more majestic than in Bharut. It appears that there is no linear connection between the both. Next, I come to Ajanta. Sorry. This is again actually as I've said that I'll be talking only about sculpture, but again there is a painting which I cannot fail to show. So I thought of depicting this painting, also showing this painting where we have Mayadevi. She's here and she's just given birth, and it is probably Gautami who is carrying the child, Gautama. Now we come to Gandhara. Owing to a vast reign spanning from India to Central Asia, the Kushan kings had their capitals in Mathura in India and in the northwest frontier, Gandhara in present-day Pakistan. The divine conception of Buddha by Mayadevi also traveled to Gandhara, where we find a number of reliefs showing Mayadevi reclining on a couch and an elephant hovering above her. Here the elephant is smaller and encircled by a halo. The artists have given more attention to the physical form and anatomical details of Mayadevi rather than the elephant. Mayadevi lies on her left side, her right hand somewhat forward, right leg flexed, head high against one or two pillows on their sides next to her open left hand. Her right hand on the mattress slightly depresses it. She is wearing a long tunic, wreath headdress, earrings, collars, and bracelets, and large over garment hides her feet and what may be a girt paridhana. An elephant above is wholly enclosed in an aureole in relief, except for the tip of its tongue, which protrudes slightly downwards. The couch has leg with turned elements above. The chamber has a fasciated trapezoidal roof on Corinthian half pilasters and appropriate bases. There is a cross-hatched triangular panel on the left, probably a curtain on the return of its roof. The female guard outside, this is the next image. The female guard outside, holding a spear, raises her head, and in amazement, she wears a garment from her left shoulder, a paridhana round it, perhaps a scarf and a wreath headdress with projecting loop of hair, earrings, collar, and bracelets. This is an image from Amaravati. The Buddhist stupa at Amaravati is known for the unique craftsmanship and decorative style of detailing. The railing and drum slabs found from the site have created a vivid portrayal of symbols, Jataka tales, and significant events from Buddha's life. Placed on hemispherical dome, the stone slabs circle the entire domical structure with continuous band of ornamental motifs adorning the stupa. The dream of Mayadevi has been shown at Amaravati, where elephant is an object of the dream, with the difference from Bharut that elephant is carved in outline with no relief modulation and confined to the frame. The posture of sleeping Mayadevi with several flexions in her body is more conspicuous, is a key feature of Amaravati style. The scene seems to be crowded. Another Amaravati slab, preserved in the British Museum, shows 4 continuous moments of the birth story in 4 compartments separated by railings, does not present the elephant unlike Bharut. Only the sleeping female figure is used for conception. The next compartment depicts the court of the king Shuddhodhana, where queen is also present and the priest have been called to interpret the dream. The space is indicated in contrast to Bharut from a single viewpoint for each frame by using the device of letting the foreground figures overlap those of middle ground, who in turn overlap the figures behind them, who are depicted successively in back view and frontal view. The third section depicts the birth of Buddha. Perhaps it can be said here that a unique approach has been adopted by the artist, where Mayadevi resembles a Shalabhanjika. She is holding on to a branch of a shala tree with her left hand, while she stands in the Tribhanga posture. From her right side comes Gautama as a baby. According to Nidana Katha, she approached the branch of shal tree, which we have discussed, which bent itself down towards her. There is a single depiction of shal tree, although the text mentions she went to the Lumbini grove, which means that there should have been more trees around. The Shalabhanjika image of Mayadevi is not so much like Bharut Yakshi, such as Chandra Yakshi, but she is more voluptuous and similar to the bracket figures at Sanchi. The tree is beautifully depicted with distinct leaves. In Bharut and Sanchi, there is no episode of delivery. It is only from late 1st century that it appears in Amaravati and Gandhara. The stone slab from Nagarjuna Konda is divided into 3 panels. The middle panel exhibits the birth of the Buddha. On both sides stand 2 attendants. Mayadevi is shown standing in Tribhanga position while holding a shala tree. We can also see a Purnaghata, which is a symbol of fertility. At the left side of the panel stands Indra and the Dikpalas with a garment to receive the child. At Bharut and Sanchi, we do not find the scene of delivery. In the Buddhist art of the Deccan region, from Amaravati and Nagarjuna Konda, the birth scene is usually a part of composition depicting many events related to birth, unlike Bharut. Now I come to Sri Lanka. Buddhism was introduced to Sri Lanka during the 3rd century BCE with the arrival of Ashoka's son, Mahinda, from India. According to the Sri Lankan chronicles, the king of Sri Lanka at the time, Devanampiya Tissa, converted to Buddhism shortly after Mahinda's arrival. The king's patronage of Buddhism resulted in the construction of numerous Buddhist sites and centers of learning around the ancient capital of Anuradhapura, as well as in the formation of a very important relationship between Buddhism and the state. This is a relief sculpture of Mayadevi datable to 4th-5th century CE from Jetavana Monastery complex, Anuradhapura, shows Mayadevi being guided to the Shala Grove for the birth of Buddha. Just behind her, there is an attendant who is carrying a parasol over her head. Now I come to Bengal. The Pala dynasty in Bengal ushered in a period of stability and prosperity in Bengal-Bihar region. The Pala dynasty had trade routes and intellectual contacts throughout Southeast Asia and up to Tibet, resulting in the spread of Buddhism throughout these areas. In addition, Buddhist pilgrims, monks, and students from all over Asia flocked to the holy sites connected with the life of Buddha and to the numerous Buddhist monasteries and universities. When they returned home, these travelers brought Pala period Buddhism and art with them in the form of manuscripts, small sculpture, drawing, and other portable imagery. The Palas were the last major Buddhist dynasty to rule in South Asia and were dethroned by the Sena dynasty in the beginning of the 11th century. Here we find Queen Mara giving birth to Siddhartha Gautama, which is carved in basalt from 10th century. Now it is here in Indian Museum, Kolkata. In this sculpture, with many figures, Buddha's mother, Queen Maya, is at the center of attention. We know that because she is the largest figure by far. Her pose, grasping a tree, recalls the image of ancient fertility goddess, appropriate since she is giving birth to Gautama, who became the Buddha, was born in a garden. Only the tree indicates at the background, which indicates here. The young Buddha is shown twice. He flies out from Maya's right side, and that's how he was born. Immediately after birth, it is said that he took 7 steps in the 4 cardinal directions. This is shown by him standing atop 5 lotuses. The god Indra receives Buddha at his birth, and he's standing near the lotuses. On the right side, god Brahma, with 3 heads, and Vishnu above, also attend the birth. The other small figures are attendants and devotees. Now I come to Nepal. The Buddhist pantheon in Nepal is obviously related to the Indian tradition in which Buddhism and Hinduism coexisted and influenced each other through many centuries. Although the sophisticated artistic production in the Nepal Valley represents to some extent the continuation of the aesthetics prevailing in India under the Gupta, Pala, and Sena dynasty, the art and architecture of its original inhabitants, the Nevars, developed in a unique way. The divine conception traveled to Nepal, where we see Queen Maya giving birth to future Buddha, carved in limestone from 9th century, preserved in the National Museum of Nepal. An independent goddess cult has grown around this queen and revered not only as the mother of Buddha, but also mother of Buddhism. This is actually in Lumbini, the locality in southern Nepal, where she has given birth to Buddha, has become an international pilgrimage site, specifically for its function as a shrine to the mother goddess. Rather than commemorating Buddha itself, the site now venerates the mother who gave birth to him. This is the Mayadevi temple in Nepal. Now I come to Borobudur. Narrative scenes at Borobudur represent the spiritual progression of the practitioner, beginning at the foot of the monument with the basic precepts of Buddhism, moving on to the demonstration of exemplary lives following the sutras, which serve as a prelude to an even deeper teaching, illustrated by Suddhana pilgrimage, showing the path of Bodhisattva leading to enlightenment. The image depicts Buddha in shape of an element in the upper left corner of the relief, enters the womb while she sleeps. The next image depicts Queen Maya traveling to Lumbini Pleasure Garden. She is seated on the right side of the relief, and the king is in center, completely obliterated. She sets off in a carriage for the park, accompanied by a huge retinue. The third image shows the queen grasping a branch, and Shakyamuni comes out from the right side. In the relief, while queen is holding on to a branch, the maids wash her feet, and the newborn prince, sadly defaced, takes 7 steps that are marked by lotus. For about 250 years, Pagan was the capital of kingdom, covering most of what is modern-day Myanmar. During the period, more than 2,500 Buddhist monuments, stupas, temples, and monasteries were built in and around the city alone. Further, religious edifices were erected in the provincial centers of the kingdom, such as Pakoku, Saleh, Salin, and Minmu. Nativity scenes found from the Kubyongke temple, Minkaba village, Bagan period, in sandstone. Four events related to birth are featured on the left. The infant Buddha emerges from her right side. The topmost two Brahmas, a class of Buddhist deities supporting the newborn in a golden net. Next are the Lokapala, which are with the infant sitting upon the antelope skins, while below mortals hold the child aloft in a cloth. On the base are the gods and humans observing the Buddha taking his legendary 7 strides. The right side of the sculpture depicts Prajapati, her sister. Now we come to Angkor Wat. In Angkor Wat, Cambodia's northern province of Siem Reap is one of the most important archaeological sites of Southeast Asia. It extends over approximately 400 square kilometers and consists of scores of temples, hydraulic structures, as well as communication routes. For several centuries, Angkor was the center of Khmer Kingdom. While impressive monuments, several different ancient urban plants, and large water reservoirs, the site is a unique concentration of figures testifying to an exceptional civilization. The birth of Buddha, this is in sandstone from 13th, 14th century on stele, now at Bangkok National Museum, depicts Buddha Sakyamuni emerging from the right side of his standing mother, Queen Maya, in the Lumbini Grove. Perhaps the artist portrayed the Buddha figure in a movement to suggest what he did after his birth. Takes 7 steps, raises his hand, and points to the sky. On the lower left, a multi-headed, 4-armed kneeling deity, surely representing God Brahma, receives the Buddha with his 2 cupped hands. Unfortunately, his legs are now worn away. 3 other gods, all single-headed, stand just beside Brahma. Perhaps these represent the 4 Lokpala regions or 4 quarters as acknowledged in the early Pali scriptures, even though one would be missing here. More likely, they represent a generic multitude of gods who appear in various other accounts of the birth of Buddha, often originally composed in Sanskrit. In the center, Queen Maya stands grasping the branch of a tree with her right hand, a customary pose for these nativity scenes since the beginning of Indian Buddhist art. Her left hand rests on the shoulder of a female attendant. Both Maya and her attendant are topless and wear a sampot or a long tunic wrapping their hips and legs. The queen is also adorned with necklace, anklets, and large garland headdress with a diadem. The short fishtail sliced pleat in front of Queen Sampot decorated with rosettes, her facial features, braided hair, chignon in the shape of lotus bud, and diadems, jewels, and ornaments worn by the queen and female attendants and other deities signify a unique style. Finally, I come to Far East, and in China, Buddhism first reached China from India nearly 2000 years ago during the Han Dynasty. It was probably introduced to China by Silk Route traders from the West in about 1st century CE. This image depicts the nativity scene of Buddha in limestone belonging to 16th and 17th century from the Ming Dynasty. So again, this is a painting from Japan in this Lumbini Grove where we find Mayadevi giving birth and the various gods playing different musical instruments. So this is again from China, a much later period. So I would just like to conclude by saying that due to syncretic nature of Buddhist art, the image of Mayadevi incorporated elements from multiple cultures. The dissemination of the image traced through Bharat to China display a progressive transformation over time and region. This simultaneous iconographic continuation from Bharat represents a significant and enduring legacy of Buddhist art. The roles women play in society and the images we have of them have developed not simply from the exigencies of biology and social situations, but are deeply rooted in the myths and legends and religion of culture. Marriage and motherhood are considered mandatory for fulfillment and identity formation in our social setup. Most of the world's historical records rarely, if ever, provide detail of pregnancy or deaths in childbirth. given such that deaths were too mundane to mention in record, largely written by and for men. That the textual records of Maya's gestation, delivery, and death have survived for 2,500 years is nothing short of remarkable. The many visual devices that the artist invented in creating the scene, even though they have the cultural roots, the artist gave them a graphic form with the story content. As Buddhism moved into East Asia, the icons gained in material splendor, and at the same time, inherent sensuality, even eroticism of Indian taste, was bit suppressed. This can be seen in the representation of the image of the Mayadevi. The images from India depict her in a sensual form, and in East Asia, she is depicted with naturalism and serenity, more human-like. Thank you so much.
A very short and sweet lecture of 40 minutes. Shreyashi has sojourned through the sculptural art and the incredible aesthetic skills and craftsmanship of the artists of these various countries. From her talk, we learn about societies around Asia and of the spread of Buddhism, the religious beliefs and practices prevalent at particular periods of time. These were the ideas that were compiled from oral and written texts aesthetics, history, starting from Bharut, from the BC, which travels to the various countries in Southeast Asia, from Sri Lanka, Nepal. Depiction of the birth of Siddhartha from all these various places, from Sanchi in the BCE to the latest period in the countries of Southeast Asia, and highlighting the differing artistic interpretations and symbolization in terms of the elephant, the lotus, the attendants, and the psaltery and Mayadevi herself, and the compositional elements, thereby highlighting the evolution of Buddhist art narratives. So I think we now leave open the forum now to any questions. So please go ahead. So thank you, Shreyashi, for the wonderful journey that you took us around from Bharut in BCE to Japan through art, sculpture, and paintings. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, my title was only about sculpture, but I thought that without showing Ajanta and the similar motifs from Japan also, the lecture would not be complete. So,
Yeah, so it was a value addition because art comprises both sculpture as well as painting.
yeah.
So it indeed was very relevant to what you had just spoken about.
And the difference also, like in Japan, we see the different deities are playing the different musical instruments in the background. So this is again a very interesting thing we don't find here, which we see in Japan. So
Maybe it is the solemnity of the occasion.
right,
So I
right,
think you only need blessings rather than music. Maybe
right,
after the birth, but
right.
not at the time of the birth. So it makes sense that there are no musical instruments which are usually depicted in the Japanese paintings.
Yes, yes, yes. And even like in Bagan and from Borobudur, they are the Mayadevi is dressed in a very local dress, like which we see in the depiction that the lower garment is very much it's still worn now, like the skirts they wear, the wraparound, the same thing she is wearing. So again, it throws a lot of light on the society and the culture of that period.
So all these narratives, they are all according to the local traditions, though it may have traversed, say, from Sanchi, Bharhut. Still, when
Yes,
it comes to the Southeast Asian countries, it's only a shared heritage. So they will, for their understanding, they will make it understandable to their culture and to
they,
their traditions. Then
right,
only it becomes meaningful, and the tradition or the worship and of Buddhism continues forward.
right, absolutely.
So, Alkesh, do you have any doubts? Because she mentioned about Gajalakshmi.
Ma'am, I have a thing to ask from Shreyashi madam.
Yes, yes,
Ma'am, when you was going through the slideshow, you
yes,
brought for us a carving from Sri Lanka based on Gautama's birth, and you
yes,
mentioned the name of King Mahindra.
yes,
Uh, Is he the same Mahindra who took the Dantadhatu of Gautama Buddha to Kandy?
absolutely. And the tree also, the Bodhi tree also, in fact.
And later, when the entire Bodhi tree was destroyed,
Yes,
it was brought from that very tree which was taken to
yes,
Sri Lanka.
yes, 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 absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. Shreyashi, can I ask a question about the timeline? You did mention all of these portrayals, but I wish there was a timeline by which we could understand. I've been to the Sanchi Stupa a few times because I grew up in that area, and I'm
Okay.
happy that I could hear a more description. So when I go and see it next, I will actually be able to understand more of it. But I believe that was built in the Mauryan period, and that
Yes,
is almost like 300 BC or somewhere there.
yes.
So question is, do we have a timeline in various uh, places in India, how Buddhism spread and when are these from, and how the text of, so the other question is, how much of text do we have? Because in the end, the pictures come from some description from text.
Yes.
So how much of the text is still available for people to read and create their own image of the entire birth?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, we do have a timeline. That's why I've tried to maintain the chronology. Like I started from
Okay.
Bharat, then Sachi, and I went on, and finally to Japan. That's much more later.
Uh-huh.
So,
But
and
if you put, what I was going to
okay,
say, if you put an approximate time
oh,
on your
okay, I will do that.
presentation, then it's
Right,
easier to follow, at least
I
for a person like
understand.
me.
Sure, sure,
So
I will do
I
that.
understand that. And you were going to tell us something about the text, you said. Uh-huh.
Yes, the text actually, yes, it was the text is very much there, and but it is much more elaborated. But in the depiction, we don't always find the sculptural depiction do not always the actually the artists themselves they put their own imagination also, but broadly they followed the text. But the details are still there for the Buddha Charita, the Lalita Vistara, and they are there still, like about the life events of Buddha.
And the text is in which language? The original text. I mean, is everybody able to read and understand the
There is
original text?
translation. There, the English translation is very much there.
Okay. And the original text is
Pali,
from
Pali.
Mal. Okay.
Shreyashi, I would like to put a question here.
Yes,
See, all the texts were taken away by Mahinder, Ashoka's son, to Sri Lanka. So, for a long time, I'm sure that what was depicted on the Bharat, Sanchi architrave, we never could understand because they were from the Jataka tales. It was only in the 18th century that we got an idea that all this, whatever is seen there, is has been taken from Jataka tales. The way the relics were distributed, the fight, we didn't know what it was. So, am I right in this?
yes, ma'am. Actually, what has been depicted is through the oral tradition was there, because all these texts they were written only after the death of Buddha. So that
Yes,
was after a
yes.
very long time. So all that have been depicted through the oral tradition, which were later written down. So the depictions we have, like Bharut, they were just on basis of oral tradition. So
So if I can ask, so what is the timeline of these texts then? I mean, Gautam Buddha, we know from 500 BC approximately.
yes,
And so
that's
what
a
is the deadline on these new?
yes. It was written like about 300 to 400 years after the death of Buddha.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, I would like to ask.
Yes,
I'm so
yes.
sorry.
I would also
Yes,
like
somebody.
to add, I think it was after the council, no? when the
Yes.
council was formed, I think at that time they compiled all his speeches, and I think it came in the first form of the Tripitikas, the
Yes.
three varieties of this thing. So Vinaya Tripitaka, and that is how I think from the first council that these texts had come into being.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. That's about 300 to 400 years after. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I was going to ask. The elephant is central to Mayadevi's dream, and it is also central in Buddhist philosophy. Yet its size, posture, and placement vary widely in all of these sculptures that you have shown. So, what might these variations be about? Like, why? What they reveal about the regional artistic priorities? I would just like.
That yes, because like from Bharu, the elephant occupies the main depiction is on the light is on, the focus is on the elephant, and that is the Buddha. But later on, when we see the elephant gradually in Gandhara, we see this, but the size has reduced, the diminished. So the body, the human, it is becoming more androcentric, we can say. So that human figure is being giving more importance than the animal, which we actually see. And later on, there is no depiction of elephant at all. It's only the figure of Mayadevi, the mother. She becomes more important.
So,
And
perhaps
because
also.
and
Yes,
because also the we later on we also see the image of Buddha like coming out from the right side, as we have seen from Bagan, and later on like in China also, like the small in Nepal, the small Buddha is already depicted, so there was no need of depicting the elephant. The symbol is not required anymore because the icon has already come. So that's the reason.
Thank you so much,
Ma'am,
ma'am. Thank
another thing I have to ask,
Yeah.
ma'am, in a fictional story, I do not know that if it is based on true facts or is it a little bit fictional. The name of the story is Chandan Bigroho. I think it was written by Bibhuti Bhushan or Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay. I could not recall the exact name. Uh, there it was said that a a small statue of Buddha, which was belonging to the very period when Buddha was alive and was preaching in the Jetvan, and was later found, means many centuries later was founded by a monk during his adventure. Is it true, or is there any such evidences which are still there which belong to the time of Buddha?
Can you just repeat? Actually in the middle the voice broke, so I couldn't follow the entire thing. Can you just repeat once more?
Yes,
Or
yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
you were
while
talking
reading
about a
a
story, by Vibhuti Bhushan, isn't it?
yes, Chandan Bigroho,
Acha, and there what happened?
and there it was said that a monk many years later read in a book that there was a hidden place where uh, a sandalwood image of Buddha belonging to the very time when Buddha was alive was kept hidden by some of his disciples, like that. And after reading through the text, the monk went out for adventure with his friend and discovered the that very image of Buddha. But is there any such evidence which belong to the time of Buddha, or any such statue or text?
No, I haven't come across such. Maybe it's I look into it, but I haven't come across such uh, story or like.
No,
Okay,
I
ma'am.
think
Okay, ma'am.
the image of Buddha would have come during the Mahayana period.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
after first century. See,
Yes, yes. So till such time, I don't think there would have been any,
iconic
image
representation. Yeah.
representation. So I think it's only during the Mahayana period that this statue that Mriganka was speaking about would have been hidden and then found later on, maybe.
Maybe.
Ma'am, I have some questions.
Hello,
Yes,
Shreyashi.
please.
Thank you for this enlightening lecture.
Yes.
Actually, you showed all the depictions of Mahadevi in the narrative form, in
Yeah.
narrative format. Huh? Did you didn't you find any representation of Mahadevi in the round?
Round medallion.
No, no, not round medallion. We talk about different types of relief. I mean, we generally talk of two types of sculptural depiction. One is in relief, another
Hmm.
is in round. Did you find any depiction of Mayadevi in the round?
No, not
Because
such.
actually, if you go through the Nepalese depictions, I think I have seen one Mayadevi in the round. So
Okay.
you can just have a look.
Maybe so there is a
I
lot of, yeah, but maybe that is
in
later
Nepal.
period. Yeah,
Yes,
maybe that is
definitely in
later
Nepal.
period.
That is in
Yeah,
a later period.
yeah, yeah.
So you can go
I
through
think,
it.
yeah, I think that will be around 18th or 19th century
Yes,
probably. I've
yes.
seen
Not
that.
18th. I think 16th or 17th. I'm not
Oh,
sure. But
oh,
you're close. Hmm.
okay.
So
Oh,
it will give variety to your presentation, I think,
yeah, I
because
was
all the
thinking, but
uh,
I actually I stuck to the
narrative format.
yes, narrative format, and I didn't want to show because there are a lot of images. Yes, I have also seen that from
There are
Nepal.
lots and lots of images of each
Yeah,
center. We get a lot of variety. You have selected some
variety.
and shown. I can
Yeah,
understand because of the time constraint that was not possible. You cannot show everything. Acha,
yeah, and so
another
many
thing,
regional variety also
yes,
I had to go
regional
through.
variation.
छोड़ने के
At-
थ्रू चला रहा हूँ
And it is definitely a pen. It becomes a motive actually.
सिस्टम
Yeah.
This Mayadevi in the Shalavanjika form, which takes its first appearance in Amaravati. In
Hmm.
Amaravati, we find first Mayadevi is depicted in the Shalavanjika form.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
after that, it is carried over to other centers and it becomes a motive. Wherever we see Mayadevi, she is shown as a Shalavanjika in most of the cases.
Most of them. Yes.
So, this is one thing. Another thing you said that. Mayadevi is rarely shown with in the birth of Buddha, where Mayadevi is giving birth to Buddha, we rarely see that she is accompanied with instruments, dancing, and all those. But yes, you are true. But you know, when we are talking of the narrative, usually what happens that the artists tend to depict an event, and that event is divided into several sequences or moments.
Hmm.
Vidya just speaks of seven modes of narration. So
Narrative.
Mayadevi is
Yeah.
one, the depiction of Mayadevi is one moment of that entire birth of Buddha.
Hmm.
And if you see the other depictions, but after Mayadevi, which you have shown in Amaravati, the
Hmm.
four reliefs, the four registers of a single relief, you will
Hmm.
find that yes, it's true that when Mayadevi is giving birth to Buddha, you will not find figures of musicians, dancers, and all. But if you see the entire event,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
you will find there
Yes.
are several
Yeah.
instances
Yes.
where,
Yes.
where the elephant is coming down on a palanquin, and the scene is accompanied with dancing, singing, and also this.
Right. Right.
Um,
It is
so
in
this
the narrative. Yeah, the narrative.
Yes,
It
so
is
the celebration thing is there, but
yeah.
maybe in that special moment where Mayadevi gave birth, that
Yeah.
we cannot
We don't
find.
see.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
the
But
element of celebration, because the
yes.
master is
Yes.
coming down.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was
so
just
that
talking
is there.
about the depiction. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
actually, we cannot analyze this event solely by seeing Mayadevi's depiction. We have
Yes.
to see the entire thing.
Entire
And
scene. Yeah.
another thing is towards the end, while you were concluding, you spoke about the importance of women and all those
Right.
things. Huh?
Yeah.
But really, I'm really doubtful about it because yes, Mayadevi was lauded because she was the mother of Buddha.
Buddha. Hmm.
That is why. But
Hmm.
if we see the Therigathas, Jatakas, and all those things, the position of women,
Not
we
at all.
really we cannot say that the position
Very
of
good.
women was great, or
Yes.
they were given a lot of. There are misogynist paragraphs also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, if we take this gender gaze, I think only seeing Mayadevi and saying that this is a thing that women was given such a
No, no, I didn't say that. No, no, no,
position.
no. I didn't
No,
say
you
that.
didn't say that, but
Yes.
I thought that maybe she is said like that because she was the mother
Mother
of
of the great one.
the
Yes.
master. So
Yes.
glorifying her was actually glorifying the master.
Master.
That's it.
Yes.
Nothing else.
It's
Okay.
been
But however, excellent and actually, I think if we could sit and we
yes.
could discuss, so this would
Yeah.
have been. I have another question, but I am taking too much time. So let
Okay,
me
we'll
stop
discuss
it
that.
here.
Okay, okay. No, no,
Okay.
I definitely, I absolutely acknowledge that the position of women was not at all a very favorable one, but at least that her depiction, at least is something. It's like creates definitely something different. So that's why I thought of saying that point. That is her detailed, just brief.
Stylistically, she is given some importance, at
Yes,
least.
yes, yes.
Stylistically, and her position, and her, I mean, the size is also much more, which indicates the stature. She was
Yes,
the mother.
mother,
So,
the queen. Yes, definitely.
another thing, we find
Shreyashi,
that.
kindly excuse me. Can we
Yes,
give
yes,
a
I have to
chance for
stop. I know. I have to
other
Yes.
stop. Yes.
participants to stay and then you come back again?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. We will discuss this later on.
Yes, we will
Definitely.
discuss it later. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, Alkesh, do you want to ask anything? Some connection with the Gajalakshmi and the first medallion that she showed in Barut?
The thing is, what I am saying is, I have one question. Is there any depreciation of Maya Devi or further in the Vietnam or other places?
Pardon? I couldn't understand.
In the Vietnam and other places, do we have any
No, I
depreciation
haven't
of Maya?
found. No, no, no. I haven't gone. I haven't found any. But
Because when we say Southeast Asia, we have to go to these places also,
yeah,
because
yeah,
most of the people they
yeah.
confined to this couple of places, and then at
No,
the
no,
later
no.
stage
Because
they
there is.
concluded.
I have got the image of Buddha, but the Maya Devi as such, I
And the
haven't.
second is like what Gita ma'am says, that Gajalakshmi depreciation.
Yeah.
Maybe this concept of Lakshmi was added for the Maya Devi, or I don't know about it. But there's a
Yeah, there
debate
is a
debate
debate regarding that.
debate.
Yeah.
But one thing is, Lakshmi could be have been a concept and
Yeah.
not that goddess. But when we are showing Maya Devi, you saw Brahma, Indra, so
Mm,
I believe it's just my belief. I'm just not going to concept anybody
mm,
that goddess Lakshmi would have been prayed by her Maya Devi too.
mm,
But still, like some sting people, they don't want to understand this. So I
mm,
don't argue with them, but I only talk with when scholars are present.
mm,
So
mm.
we have to be open when we are talking about
Yeah, that's
something.
what I said, because that's we are talking about an iconic period, and as I said that there is a debate. Like according to
Yeah,
Fusher, it
because
is Mayadevi,
if you
but
are
again,
you are saying Brahma is there, Indra
uh,
is there,
yeah,
so she should have been present. Vishnu should have been present, and her consort should be present, or not Vishnu. Then goddess must have been present. She must have
Vishnu,
been praying to some
he
god,
comes later on. Later on, it was not
because
during this
Buddha
period.
came at a later stage.
Yeah,
So that is only my thing. Is Gajalakshmi symbol is a part of Buddhism too, but I don't say like it is a, and it's a common symbol between all the three religions.
yes, yes, absolutely. It predates actually.
Yeah, it's a predated evolvement, but like right now with so much change going on, so I
Mm,
sometimes it's difficult to explain to them.
absolutely.
Manali, can you read the
And one
comments
more
on the chat
question: in
box, please?
Amravati, they found one. or in Andhra Pradesh, they found one mandolin of Lakshmi with elephants. Anywhere you have come across any symbol of Mayadevi with elephants in Amravati area?
In Amaravati, Gajalakshmi with elephant.
Yeah. There was in
Uh,
Andhra, but I don't know exactly where it was found. I have a small details. I may share it with later with Geeta ma'am, and you can just have a look on it. Right
okay,
now, we don't take too much time on that.
okay, sure. Please do share it.
Thank you.
Uh, sure, ma'am. I would like to read out the messages in the chat box. So, Murthy Ji has written, good presentation. The speaker clearly narrated the significant role of Mayadevi in shaping the spiritual heritage. The miraculous birth of Buddha is interesting to note, and it is clearly understood how the legacy of Mayadevi is depicted in Buddhist art and sculpture, and how she was seen as a divine mother. Her role as a mother of Buddha and Buddhism is indeed inspiring and enlightening. So, thank you, Murthy Ji, for the comment. Ratna Ji has written, well narration, good information, wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am. Mriganka has written, thanks a lot, ma'am, for arranging this meeting. We'll be enriched if you arrange another such meeting based on the evolution of faces of Buddha in sculptures.
Okay.
And Ajit Ji has written, thank you, ma'am. He has written to you, quite enlightening.
Thank you so much for this encouragement. There was a thank you, Geeta ma'am, and definitely, and since this Buddha Purnima comes only in the next week only, so I thought that this is a very relevant time to talk about Mayadevi. So thank you so much for giving me this platform.
So thank you so much, each and every one of you, for the interactive participation and making the talk and discussion more fruitful and meaningful. So thank you so much. And on this note, Shubharatri to one and all. Good night.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much. It was wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank
you
you
so
once
much,
again, Dr. Rajmani.
Okay. Thank you, Geeta, for keeping me
And
in the
Dr.
loop.
And Mr. Alkesh also is from the US.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And we had a Russian anthropologist from Moscow. She was here
Oh.
for some time.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Uh-huh. Okay.
So
Thank you, and bye-bye, everyone. Uh-huh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Geeta ma'am, for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome, most welcome.
Thank you
You're a
all.
part of Destination Heritage. And so bye-bye. See you next time, next month.
Definitely.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.